So this is the before and this is the after. And now let's see how I edited this landscape photo in Capture One. Hi, welcome back. In this video I will show you how I will edit this photo. Okay, so there are a few basic things that we all try to adjust in the first phase of our photo editing, like orientation, leveling up the horizon, adjusting the highlights, shadows, etc. Right? So the first thing I want to make sure that the cropping is right. For this photo, this is the original photo, no crop here. So I like the framing, so I will just keep it in that way. But what we can do, we can crop it if we want to make some adjustment in the framing. So for this photo I can go for the 4:5 framing, and what the 4:5 do is basically just crop a little bit near vertical photos from the vertical axis, right? So the depth of the photos is okay, all are there, but I just cropped a little bit from the bottom and from the top. So when this is done, let's make it done. Yeah, when this is done, the thing I want to go for is want to make sure the horizon is up to the level. In this case it is not, so I will just make sure the horizon is level. So now the horizon is good enough. So once I make sure the horizon is okay and the cropping is alright, so then what I do is I try to like compensate the exposure and adjust the exposure, the highlights, the shadows, all these things. One thing we can do, there is multiple ways you can adjust your exposure. We can use the exposure tab, we can use the high dynamic range tab, or the thing I want to do first is just to make sure the levels are okay. In this case, in my techniques, I just click the auto adjust and just make sure the photos looks okay according to my need. In this photo, the blacks are too much shadows there, so I just want to pull it back in the left side. This is the mid-tone, so I always make sure the mid-tones are well exposed. The highlights, the exposure, the highlights are a little bit over, so I just reduced it a little bit. Then what I can do, I can adjust the highlights just to make sure the photos is smooth and clean. This photo is taken early in the morning, so the sun is rising, so the sky is a little bit overexposed, just so we can reduce the highlights a little bit, and we can pull back some shadows if you want to make them this mountain a little bit visible. Also, there is not much black in this photo, so I will leave the black slider as default. And the next thing we can do, we can brighten up the whole image by using the exposure tab. But when you are using the exposure slider, make sure you are doing a subtle change, not much aggressive. I will add some contrast, and also I will make sure the saturation is good enough. But in this photo, since I take a lot of landscape photos, and I know that in landscape, in the golden hour, photos really pop up if I increase the white balance. So what I am going to do, it's by default the short on the short mode, so I can try different try different mode on white balance. And for this photo I like the daylight and the cloudy one. The cloudy one really pops up this subject, the fisherman who is riding the boat when I took the photograph. But what I can do, I can manually increase the Kelvin, the white balance, right? Yeah. So after adjusting the white balance, what I can do, I can go back and try to make the photos more contrasty and bring back the highlights, reduce the highlights a little bit. So this is how I start my landscape photography editing, and let's see how it's done before and after. So it is much more punchier, but also there is a little bit overcast of yellow color, but that's okay, we can reduce it later. Also I would like to add some dehaze because it really pops up and brings some contrast back in the photo. So once we are done with that, we can always go back to color. And we can adjust the colors from here. The main thing I'm trying to do in this photo is to like pop this fisherman as much as possible. So what I can do now, once I adjusted my color, what I can do now, I can do some luminosity mask, right? For example, I will create a radius mask over here, just to make sure the fisherman is really popped up and it's the main attention of the photo. I can check my masking by pressing the M key. Yes. So I can adjust some luminosity mask here. So in the background I created a luminosity mask using the radius masking. So what I can do now, I just want to make sure the black part of this mask are selected. So I will tone down the white part as much as I can and make sure only the black part of the fisherman on this case is selected. Once it is done, I will click apply, and then what I can do, I can reduce the exposure. So this is the before. I can see the mask is like, I have to reduce some masking here. So now let's see the before and after. Yeah, the fisherman is really popping up. So now what I can do, I can also do the same thing for the mountains, right? So I will grab the adjustment of masking. Check my masking by pressing the M button. This is only selecting because I am on the adjustment layer, so let's clear it, go to the background layer and then create a new masking. In this case, I will try to select the black parts only by using the luminosity mask. So I will create a luma range and bring back this slider like before, and then I will click apply, and then I will increase the contrast. Or we can do a little bit of contrast and a little bit of exposure adjustment. So this is how I start and do my basic adjustment in Capture One for my landscape photos. The best thing is to make sure that your photos are really being popped up. This is the before, this is the after. So that's how I start my landscape photography editing in Capture One. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please subscribe.